we are done with that. So today we'll start servlet topic, the advanced, you can say. Let's do that then. Okay, so let me share my. So today we'll see how to create web applications by using Java language. You everyone at least we are aware about how web screen works, web pages works. We need to open any web browser, enter some URL. When that URL works, we should get some UI screen. And that page could be written by using HTML, CSS page. Since we are doing backend programming, our focus would be on UI, hardly 1%. We will be focused on backend side, 99%. But definitely, all these stuffs will be covered parallelly by Shivam or maybe some other person who will take care of all the basic stuffs of how you create or use HTML tags, CSS properties, and some portion of JavaScript. So that's again it's complete part of UI technologies that will be teach by someone else maybe after my class. But in my class we will focus on all backend stuff. As I said, 99% we're going to focus on backend programming. How or what happens when you click on any button? On UI we have lots of buttons and hyperlinks. When you click on that, something must happen. So that something happened inside Java language. And typically, since we are going to learn servlet, so how we can create servlets, how to create that servlet so it can handle your request which you're going to send from your UI buttons, the submit button, login buttons, register button, update buttons. Think about a simple web pages where you have to create or deal with some UI screens. So that way, so we need to understand how this whole things works out. Okay, so we are going to do that. But again, I'm just going to let you one thing that technology is quite old, really old, almost 25, 26 years old technologies. But still, this will give us a foundation, a base, to go over with latest technologies. So our goal is to learn Spring Boot, Spring Framework technologies, and this whole thing is based on servlet technology. So I'll suggest if whatever we have done so far, it's good. It will give us an idea how we can move further. So Core Java was just the starting. Today onwards, we are going to use Core Java as an application to write or create some simple web application. And Servlet will give us a foundation to learn upcoming future technology like Spring Boot and Spring MVC or maybe some other technology which will come in future. Okay, that's done. So we are talking about Servlet, but before Servlet, we should be very about some how we what is server, what is client, how it interacts, and how to add server in your project, specifically in this Eclipse tool. So all that thing we have to manage. Okay, so I just opened some one my previous class images so I can save some time and focus on coding part. So here I have this first screen which says Sultan JSP and it is clearly saying for creating web pages in Java language. The first screen and there's some full form HTTP. We guys must have heard about this HTTP or HTTPS. One big difference is S is for security. It gives you a secured it's a transaction or a flow, the request flow we're going to discuss about. And this is a typical way of how a client and a server looks like. So client is here on left side and server is here on right side. And server can have multiple applications running. Okay. It could be app 1, app 2, and app 3. Now, the client could be a browser, it could be a simple Android app or iOS app or a client code. Yeah, so client could be anything. Could be a modern browser, could be any app. Any app can have a button or something which redirects to a page or redirects to a different call or a client code. Code can also trigger a request. So what clients does, client sends the request. But request will have protocol like HTTP or HTTPS, then a URL or IP or domain, whatever you guys understand. Client will have all these stuffs which goes to the server, and that actually tells the server that which application we are going to call through this IPNs. Once server gets a request, it will point out that particular application which is requested to the stuffs and then sends the response back to the client. So this is one of the high level picture what exactly happens when a client request and server responds. So what we are going to learn in this Servlet JSP technologies about these app, how this app will get familiar and takes that request, process it, and generates a response. Of course, it won't work alone. It will take help from server. Good thing is we don't need to worry about server. Server is just a simple software or tool which you need to download in a zip format and attach it to the Eclipse. That's it. Eclipse will manage all the stuffs and it will connect that server to your application. Of course, we'll do that from the scratch and then things will work out. But we need to understand how this library, Servlet library works and do this request and response processing. Okay, this was about how a request response works. Client sends request, server sends response. That's it. This is a cycle which goes on. Send, request, response. Okay, let's move to next image. Okay, this is something I discussed back with theirs. So, okay, I'll keep it here. It's just a theoretical concept, which is quite often used by developers. Okay, done. So you guys can, if you are from computer science background, might heard about this OSI model. It's just a way to implement multiple, frameworks or applications, and it has multiple layers. These 7 layers it has. It starts with physical layer till application layer. It works on application where human computer interaction happens. As a human, I'm in my room and I'm interacting with this machine. It gives me some application layer, or maybe not this machine. So even through Zoom, I'm interacting with you guys. That is what this application layer, which is letting connect to each other. And before this, you can achieve this layer, you have to go through all these directly or indirectly. It's just a theoretical concept. If you want, you can go over. It's you will like it. Actually, you will get some more idea how actually we are using this whole technology and it lets us connect remotely. But again, it's no, and it's like not connected with anything uh, which says it is particular to Java language. It's just a common concept which every programming language supports. Okay, part of it. I just took it. Okay, here comes the important section now. Now we'll talk about if you're going to create web applications. So there must be some types. We got 2 types of web applications, and luckily we are not going to discuss what first one, just about second one in servlet technology. Okay, so if you see, it says types of application which is static and dynamic. 2 types we have here. Static web application is typically created by using HTML and CSS, which is quite out of case right now. Nobody will create static web application. If they want, their application will interact with the user. Static web app is kind of just a way, but nobody creates that unless it's simple or really simple application. There's some sort of HTML CSS file and which gives you some some informations. That's it. But it won't give us more interaction, more dynamic. If it comes to dynamic web app, we have some programming language which were designed or invented earlier before Servlet. It was CGI, Common Gateway Interface. Okay, what this language will do, it has some kind of features which was actually a limitation of it. One feature was CGI can take concurrent requests. Okay, it can't take any concurrent request. That means parallel request. Simultaneously, two user cannot interact with the application. So here we have a client. This is server. Client sends a request for admin one and admin two. Oh, it's two and three. One one one. So three different clients requesting this admin one one. Okay. Three requests are going forward for this particular admin one. Then we have two and three. Now what happens because CJ says I does not support this concurrent request, so other request has to wait. Yes, that's right. Client request goes to admin one and two and three in a waiting queue. They cannot interact unless request one gets completed by admin one and returns the response. So request one goes, gets a response, then request two goes, then two and three and so on. So that's how CGI works earlier. Now, when we talk about request, so every request is a process. In a process, something which is quite heavy in nature, which takes lots of CPU consumption and lots of processing time. So that was again one of the downfall or limitation of CGI. So processes are quite heavy in nature and they consume lots of resources. So we can see two biggest disadvantages here. One, multiple user cannot interact with this application and every request is processed which takes memory, so it is really so if someone implemented this thing, it will take a time. Think about if we have 1,000 users trying to interact with this, when this 1,000th user will get the chance to interact with the server. Yeah, this was some biggest disadvantage with this language. That's why Servlet came in the picture, and that was the time when Java was really popular. They took the advantage and implemented multi-threading concept, which says that at a time multiple services can interact each other. Okay, this is just a picture to discuss about what is process and thread. I'm not to discuss about it. It's complete different concept. But I can tell you one thing about process, that processes are heavy in nature. They consume lots of resources, as I said, and most consumption of CPU. And thread is just a part of process. We say, if I have to explain the process, you can see this here. Eclipse ID. You can take Eclipse ID is a process, and while you're working with Eclipse, you must see that it suggests your code, right? When you're typing, you can press Control Space and it will give some suggest code. And parallelly, you can even it also compiles your code and it has some internal browsers and might be you are running some application parallelly. Lots of things are doing right parallelly. Where inside Eclipse. And Eclipse what? It's a process. So within a process, we can have multiple threads. And threads are lightweight. They do one task at a time and they are not interconnected. They do tasks separately and they are part of a process. Processes are heavy in nature, and want to check, you can always check here as well in your system, like how many processes and threads are there. Just open task manager, performance, CPU. Here you will see 206 processes are running and threads are 3080 and they gets randomly changed. So in my system, these many processes are running, and to support these processes, these these many threads are running. Okay, guys, 3044. Again, it is a part of operating system. Again, it's not a part of Java language. Java language supports multithreading. So it's a feature of operating systems, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you can say. They are based on these process and threads. Processes are big. They take big, they do big stuff. They are part of some big feature, and threads are some less feature usually, which gives some unique or separate work knowledge. Okay, let's move to next image. Where is- Here we are. So when we say CGI has a lots of implementation. Now we're talking about Servlet. So Servlet came up with some solutions, and then we are going to learn that. So Servlet is just a technology, or you can say one solution to create some interactive application. Even before Servlet, there was one technology, applet, is again obsolete. Nobody uses that nowadays. Then we have Servlet API. So as I said, it's an API. So API is what? It's just a collection of classes and interface. So lots of classes and interfaces are introduced here. Deal with this requirements of web page creation. And Servlet, why Servlet became popular? Because of this feature, guys. That inside a servlet, you can write HTML codes or HTML tags. No other language can give was giving this feature earlier. So you were actually writing a backend language, and with that backend language, you can write HTML text. That was one of the you can say greatest achievement at the time. Became popular, and yeah, still we are learning Java, one of the oldest language so far. Okay, so when we say API, so API must have some packages and stuff. So there are two packages which we use quite oftenly. One is Java Export Servlet, X for extension. As we're learning advanced Java, so it was extended. The core Java was extended to advanced Java, and they added lots of libraries. So Java X.Servlet and Java X.Servlet.http. These are two packages. HTTP is for all the HTTP protocol classes. Now, in this root package, there is a root interface. Like in core Java, we saw collection interface as a root interface. Quite lots of inbuilt methods or basic methods. Likewise, we have servlet as an root interface. Now, we are using servlet as a technology. Okay, it's technology plus we are talking about servlet API, right? Now we have seen servlet interface. So don't get confused. Servlet technology we're learning that we have a servlet API. In servlet API, we have a servlet interface. Multiple or lots of servlets are going on. Don't get confused. Okay, so we have a root package. Inside root package, we have a root interface. Inside root interface, we have 5 methods. You can easily ignore these one. We are not going to discuss about it, not needed. But we have to focus on 3 methods: init, service, destroy. Okay, so these are 3 methods which we call, which are known as life cycle methods. We will see what is this life cycle method mean, but we call them life cycle methods. And bottom two, non-life cycle methods. So our focus would be on top 3 methods: init, service, destroy. So for any question on this page or any page, because now we'll start, I'm going to create implement this whole thing in Eclipse. Okay, so first of all, you should have this Tomcat Apache server, okay? And from where you can get it, see that Google. Since we're learning JDK versions 8.14, so till that you can use um, Apache Tomcat 8 will work, or 9 as well. So let me just show you how to use Tomcat. Well, I'm using JDK 8. Again, I have 8. You guys can download 9, so I'm going to show you 9. You might be using this version. Okay, this page is come will pop up when you search 9 Tomcat version, and then you can download 64-bit Windows zip file. Okay, so just have it, and once you have it, you will get some 20 MB something file. And once you have it, how it looks like that as well. Watch it, Tomcat, and is here. There it is, 12 MB file. You will get these files there. So I will attach this zip file in source code when I will, there on that Google Drive. I'll attach this zip file in case if you won't able to or get confused. So that's it. 12 file you will get it. Okay, so you have a Tomcat Apache with you. That is a server. Now open Eclipse, and this is again from the scratch. So no server is attached here. How can I say this? Otherwise, if any server is attached in your Eclipse, you will see a kind of a project which says servers. It's not here. That means no server is attached. Okay, so let's add one. But definitely, either way, you're using 8 or 9. Steps remain same. Since I'm using Java 8, so I'll work with Tomcat 8 version. If you're using further version 14, 17, so better use 9 version. Any version is fine. Like after 9, you can have any version. So right now it's 9.0.33. You can use like 9.1 point something, 9.2 point something, but it should make sure it is 9 if you're using um, version 8 later after 8 version. Okay, so once you have Tomcat getting installed, then go for Window, Preferences, then search for servers here, the runtime version, add. We have options here. I'll pick this. Verify again. It's 8.0. 8. I got 8.5 as well. Okay. I'll use 8.5. Select. Next. Give the direction. Copy it. So you just work out and that is fine. Then finish. If you give the correct path, this will show up and apply close. Okay. This is done. This is just a half section. Now, we have what we just did. We have added Tomcat Apache to the Eclipse. That's it. Now, we need to create a web application inside Eclipse. So how to do that? Let's see. So file, we are going to the new project. So new, and then look for other. Since we have not created any web project here, so it's not popping up. File, new, go for other, and type dynamic project. Okay. As soon as you write this, you will get web folder contains dynamic web project. Select this web project, click next, and it will give you this screen. Just give your project name. I'll say Servlet app. Name it whatever you like. Give the name. Don't go for finish. Click next. After giving the project name, click next. Don't do any change here. After adding server in your Eclipse, create a dynamic web project. Give the project name. Click next, next, and then you will get this checkbox. Generate web.xml. This file is also known as deployment descriptor. This is one of the important files. So we'll see that and then check this box, and now you can click finish. Eclipse will create this web application, and you can say it's installing something from the web. Everything will happen, dynamically. Let's wait for a while and open perspective. Okay, if you see now we have a project. Again, you can see the difference. The first project it just says of some folder icon and a J. This one says a folder icon, J, and plus a green something. That's actually a globe, green globe here, which quite clearly says that this is a different project, web project. If you expand, you will see lots of folders, new folders this time. It's different from the core Java. Core Java was quite simple. GRE folder, the SRC where you write code, and then reference libraries. But if you see, it's different. It's a different structure. And if you expand, you have these things. Okay, so what these things are, I have already explained in next image. Let me show what these are. Okay, check out what these things are. You should be aware about what's our project directory structure. Okay, so if you see here, guys, at top we have project name. We also call this context name. This is actually a server, you can say, or servlet technology name. This is what they call that in internally. Project name for us as a human being, we always call the project. But for servlet, for the web server, it is context name. Okay. Next, deployment descriptor. This is Eclipse stuff where we talk about if you're going to create any web services, then it will be used. So not for now, we are not going to create any web service. So no more use of deployment descriptor and Jax WS service. Okay. Next, we have Java resources. Let's open here as well. Java resources here, which contains SRC. And definitely, if it is SRC, that means we are talking about Java code. So inside this SRC, we create Java classes, the actual code we are going to write. Then libraries, which are used by Eclipse. If you expand libraries, you will see the same. Tomcat Apache, which is again one of the library, and GRE system is JDK, the Java. So libraries used by again the Eclipse. So yeah, two libraries. If you add some more libraries, it goes right here. Okay, fine. This is done. Now JavaScript resources again, it's just a part of Eclipse. Eclipse will use it. And if you open this, we'll have some this JS support. Because why these are important? Because Eclipse supports inbuilt browser. Yes, Eclipse comes up with some its own browser. So to support that browser, we have this stuff here, ECMA stuff and lab pages. We don't need to worry about that. It will not impact your code. It's just a Eclipse stuff. Okay, next, what is build? Build is something where your code, whatever you write, think about once you're done with your code, have to deploy it somewhere, right? So that build type could be of jar, var, or EAR type, enterprise archive. So where it goes inside this build. If you explicitly create or build your application, it will go inside a build folder. Expand build, it's just empty folder because we haven't created build anything by us or like manually or internally by the Tomcat. So it's not required now. That again used by Eclipse. Next we have a web content. Here we put all web related stuffs like CSS, HTML, JS, images, any kind of document like text, JSON file, XMLs. You can just think of whatever a web application needs. You have to put that document type inside web content, this web content. This is important, guys. Web content. Whatever your web project needs, it should be here, directly or indirectly. Okay, so that's done. Then we have a folder web inf, which stands for web information. And inside again a library, which is for internal purpose. So not required at all. Then we have web.xml, the most important file. That's actually a configuration file for your project where we write servlet configuration, filter configuration, listeners, web configuration, and lots of stuff we can add there. Web.xml is one of the important file for us. And from this day, we are going to use XML file for project configurations. So if you're not aware about XML and XML files, I'll suggest do this thing. So here I'll write down on first image. I'm writing the homework as well. I'll give you a brief idea. First, go through this OSI model. Kind of optional. You can do or not. Totally up to you. It's for your interest. But I'll suggest you should know what is that. Then XML. Again, I suggest go open this W3 school site. It's a good site for beginners who knows actually who don't knows about the basic stuff of anything. Use this site, Servlet schools, and okay, I'll add it. So over here, I hope project directory structure is clear. Where goes what? We just learned it here. Let's move to Eclipse. Okay, so far again this is not completed because we haven't added server here completely. But if you see, it's already here. We haven't added that, but Eclipse did that for us. Okay, now let's try to run this application. So right click on the application, then we are learning how to run application right now. Okay, right click, run as. So no more Java application. Now we are going to talk about run on server. So click on server. Now Eclipse will ask you which server you want. We are sure as I'm using Java 8, so 8.1.5. If you're going to use any other version, so 9 or 10 might be there. So accordingly, download Tomcat Apache server. Okay, select the version, click next, and that's what it looks like. You can see a jar file is look like some bottle with a lid. Okay, so that's a jar icon, and then finish. So what Eclipse will do, it will deploy your code on this server, and if everything goes fine, we should get some meaningful message here. Scroll down, server, as since we're running this first time, so it might take some time. And yep, server started up in these many milliseconds, and that's what it looks like. And you can see this is the internal browser of Eclipse. And what's the URL? HTTP :/ localhost 8081 and your project name server tab. This is the URL of your project. And since we don't have any configuration here, it says 404. We don't have any UI page. If you open, nothing. Not a single HTML file is here. Definitely we'll get this 404 error. Okay, so but good thing is server is running and our project is deployed there. Can we add any page to see that at least some basic UI? Yeah, let's do that. So I'll click on this red icon, okay, to terminate the server. Okay, server get closed. Now right click on the web, right click on the web content, go for new, and we have a option HTML file. I'll say index.html and finish. That's it. There's the file. And then for the simplicity, I'll just add one h1 tag and says welcome first servlet app. That's it. Okay, so we'll see whether we can get this message on web page or not. Okay, so again, how to run this? Right click, run as soon as you run your application first time, you will see Eclipse will create a folder, kind of a project, servers. Don't delete this one, otherwise you won't be able to run your project. Some configuration which is used by Eclipse to run your application. Okay, and if you expand, with some lots of files. So we don't need to worry about that. It's just there. Just let it be. Don't just delete it. So let's run the application. So right click on your project, run as, run on server. Okay, next and finish. So again, server gets start. It loads the project, and if everything goes fine, you'd get this message on our internal browser. There we are. Now, no more 404 error. We are getting a web page. Have you noticed where I have created this page? Inside web content, but outside of all folders. So this file should be parallel to web content. We are done with our very first application and getting some message from the application. Okay, but no more servlet code. or nothing like we are writing some backend code. Just want to show you how or where you can write this index page. Okay, guys, this is what we did, and this is what we wrote inside this file. And this page coming. Yeah. Okay, so now we know how to create web application, how to add server, and at least how to get some basic information of application. Okay, working, cool. Now what's next? Let's go back and see the actual thing we're going to do. This stuff, servlet. So servlet interface and servlet lifecycle. Okay, so the question is how to create servlets, how to create servlet. So we have three ways to create servlet. I'm typing, take it, let's have it. Yes. Okay guys, so we have three ways to create servlet, and this is important guys. Web server will instantiate the servlets. You don't need to do it by yourself. Think about so far what we were doing, we were creating objects, but we won't use new keyword. You will see how we are not going to use it. It just happens. Web server or Tomcat Apache, most specifically here, will create object for your servlets, which you're going to create by this way. So we have three ways: by implementing servlet interface, yeah, the root interface. Next one is by extending generic servlet class, and next one is STD servlet. This is by far the most important or good way to create servlet. But let's start with one and three. So we are going to pick only one and three. Two is fine. Don't worry about it. We don't need to put lots of energy here. Just basics are done. If you're done with the basics, that will also work. Okay, so time to create a servlet by using interface. Okay, so what you have to do is now we are going to write some Java code, and if it is Java code, it goes in src. So if you expand Java sources, there's a folder src. Time to create package. Always we deals in packages. If you write anything outside package, that means you don't know how to write Java code. So package, and just name it anything. I'll say com.pack.servlet. Servlet. Done. Okay, here we are. Then right click on the package, then new, and then you can go for Java class. Yeah, because the very first step says by implementing, and if where you can implement on Java classes. There it is. Let me get first servlet and finish. Java class is ready. Now actual implement, which says implements servlet, and from where, as I mentioned, that this interface is coming from Java extract servlet package. If I control space, you can see there it is, Java extract servlet. So pick from here and done. But again, it's an interface, so definitely there must be multiple methods. Let's import here and override them. Add uh, methods here. Here we are having five different methods. All those five which I evaluated. So there. Let me put them in a sequence. So init, service, and destroy. So that's for information, like we always did. Always start with some really simple code. Don't write extra code. So inside init method, service, and extra. Okay, guys, so we have all methods ready. Our servlet is kind of ready, not fully. It's just a 50% task. Now, once you are creating any servlet, so you have to implement servlet interface and override all 5 methods. At least 3 are required. These are kind of optional. Leave them, but we are done with some 3 lifecycle methods. And as an implementation, I'm just giving one line, not much to do. Okay, once you're done with the servlet, next thing is you need to map or configure this servlet inside web.xml. Okay, so open this. Okay, so first time when you open any Excel file, it looks like this one. Don't worry, we have 2 tabs, design and source. Click on source, you'll get, let me format this code and get rid of this. Okay, so at the top we have XML configuration, which says that this is the XML file and current version is 1.0 and current page encoding is UTF-8. This is universal encoding by default added by uh, standard base. This is one of the standard format for any document, UTF-8, which we don't need to worry about that. Next thing is important, which says web app. This is the root tag of XML file. That's why I said go over and check what is XML files, how it works, what kind of tags we can use there. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. Yep, it's one of the language. Like we have Java language, STL language, PHP, .NET, whatever. Likewise, XML is also one of the language. Go over and check why we need XML files. Okay, but we have XML file here, and the root tag is web app, and these are all its properties. Inside web app, we have one tag. This is display name. So whatever your project name is, by default, Eclipse will add that name inside display name. Again, just for reading purpose. If someone reads your Excel file, they can say, okay, this is something your project. Okay. Now we're talking about once your servlet is done, how to map it. So just go inside the tag file and create 2 tags, servlet tag and servlet mapping tag. Okay. In this first tag, we will add 2 subtag for this. One is servlet name, then servlet class. You need to give in the same format in the same sequence. Don't just mix up stuffs. Okay, and here again servlet name and URL pattern. Okay, so we're done with the structure of XML configuration of your servlet. That's how it looks like. This structure of servlet mapping in XML file. Okay, so this is also done. Let's fill these file. So incomplete. You can see we have error saying you have empty stuffs. Let's fill up like we have servlet app within the tag. Something similar we'll do here. So servlet name, totally up to you. You can give it any name. I'll what I used to do in my class, I'll just keep the same name what I have given. So my servlet name is first servlet. So I'll give the same name. Okay. First servlet. Okay. Now whatever name you will write here, just blindly copy it and paste it. Okay. So 2 tags are done. So you can pick any name, but that name should be unique throughout your XML file. Always remember this. That file should be unique throughout your XML file with this web XML file. Okay, so the name is taken. Now, next says servlet class. So you have to give your fully qualified name of the class. Fully qualified name. That means package name plus the class name. Class name is this, and package name is com.pack.servlet and done. And how to verify whether you have given the correct name or not? Just hold the control button and hover the mouse. You can see hyperlink comes up. If I give the wrong name, let's remove something from here. And if I hold control and hover, it's not happening because it's the wrong name, wrong path. Control Z, save, and hold control and hover. Yep. Okay, so what you have to give inside this servlet class? Fully qualified name. That means package plus Java class name. This is also done. Now last part is how to give alias. How do you call this servlet? You need to give some alias name or some reference. So how do you give it? Slash and again a unique alias name or reference to be given here. So I'll call it first. That's it. This is your completed configuration of your servlet. The first servlet we just is. Yeah, it's too much to just get this message, and that's why we need to evolve. But as I said, this technology is almost 30 years old. So yep, at that time we don't have luxury of having advanced frameworks like we have today. Spring Boot has completely subsided all this thing. You will never see this kind of configuration. It's really, you can say, inbuilt, like it has all this code in inbuilt, and you just need to write some code, and so Spring will take care of it. So it's just like install and start using it. You don't need to configure it much. So, but again, this servlet is base or foundation. Okay, well, we are done with the configuration. Let's run our application one more time. So right click, run as server, next finish. Okay, running here down there. Once it's done, so Eclipse will open its internal browser. Okay, here we are. That's a message from our SQL page. Okay, yeah, working. Now, how to invoke that servlet we just created? So we have given the reference, this one, slash first. This is actually a web URL. I'll just copy it, go over here. We already have a slash, so I'll just remove this extra slash here and time to execute. Let's clear this out. Let's have it. No. Click on this button and here we go. Guys, this is the first time we are able to execute our Java code through a web browser. Maybe you say it's really is a browser. So let's confirm it. Go over, copy this and open this advanced, modern browsers. Yep, this is coming from code. Let's clear this out. Now, going to request FIRS, the first servlet. And this is empty. Right. Done. Let's open the side and going to execute. Just enter and you will see some message pops up. Okay, here we are inside service method. But one thing is notice now it's not calling init method. Let's call this URL multiple times, like 3-4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every time you're going to call, the server is calling only one method, service method. And that's the actual purpose of service method. Init is just for initialization. One time it will get executed. Once the server is up, when you request it first time, only that time init will work. After that, service will come handy and it will called multiple times. If the name is name service, it will be called multiple times. It will do all the service part. Or you can say basically this is the location where you will write the actual business code or the logic. And destroy is for once you want to do some cleanup task because server is going to open the servlet and the servlet might be interacting with other servers. So if you want to do that, you can close any connection which are open earlier by service or init method. So you can close or clean up all the tasks or connections which is opened by your particular servlet. So I hope it is clear how to create servlet and call this. So I have intentionally took this class on Friday. So on weekend, enjoy weekend, plus do this stuff and practice it. I know it's the first time, so I don't want too much here on first day. So revision is the best way to get this thing done. Otherwise, in upcoming classes, might face some lots of issues and challenges to understand the basic topic. Okay, so we're done with our first example. And init, service, destroy. These are three lifecycle methods which keeps executed when you execute your code or run your code. Let's clear this out. Let me show you again. So right click on a project, run as server, finish. Okay, server is up. Let's request our server. Oh, sorry, servlet first and run. We're getting this message. So you guys are free to use any name in your Excel file. As I said, everything is configurable except your class name. Everything is configured. You can just use anything. But whatever name you have packaged in servlet, it should be here. Then this is again, you can write it anything. I just want to make things connected. First for servlet, 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 first servlet. So that's why I use first. So you guys are free to use any name. Okay, so that's about today. Any question? Ask something? You guys can ask. Otherwise, let's wrap up from my end. You guys continue with Shubham and ask him any question or doubt. Okay, guys. So let's meet you on Monday. Bye bye, everyone.